Hi, this is Paul Patachek for First Coast Fandom. I'm here at Dragon Con with Mr. David Prowse, better known as Darth Vader. How are you doing, sir?
I'm doing very well, actually. It's been a good con.
Good con. How's your business going?
Well, it's ticking over nicely. I mean, we've been selling photographs, but the major thing has obviously been here meeting people and signing up all the bits and pieces that people bring along to see me. But it's very nice. I love the sort of the meeting of the fans, as it were. That's what I like.
Do you come to America often for conventions?
I've started coming on a very regular basis. Last year I was here like every 3 or 4 weeks, and then and I come over for either one, two, or three sort of personal appearances at a time. Sometimes I just do one. Sometimes I might do like one this weekend and one next weekend, which means I have to stay for about a week, 10 days. And then sometimes I come in and do a tour. The last time I was here, I came over and I did 5 days in New Jersey. The time before that, I did a month touring around. I kicked off in Denver. Then we did Denver to South Carolina, South Carolina to North Carolina, North Carolina down to Miami, then Miami to West Palm Beach, Vero Beach, Cape Kennedy, Lexington, Kentucky, Cincinnati, Newark, and then home. And that was all in 3 weeks.
Wow, so you got a grand tour of the United States.
Yeah, you do.
You're most popular for your character of Darth Vader, but what other characters have you done that fans might not be familiar with?
The most notable one I did was I played Julian in Clockwork Orange, and also I played the Hammer Frankenstein in two major Hammer films in the early 70s. I did a film called The Horror of Frankenstein, and I did another one called Frankenstein, the Monster from Hell. And in between those two, I did another one called Vampire Circus, where I played the circus strongman. But I was in Casino Royale. I played Frankenstein for the first time in Casino Royale. I did a big one out in Portugal called Hammerhead, which has starred Vince Edwards, who was Dr. Ben Casey. I've done quite a few comedy movies back in England, which you probably haven't seen over here. But it's I've had a very interesting film career, both film and television, because I've done some really good television things in Great Britain, including things like the Churchill People. I've been in Shakespeare's As You Like It. I did a lovely television series called A Horseman Riding By R.F. Delderfield. I played a fairground strongman in that who went away for the First World War and became a sort of hero. And I also had the lead in a sort of mystery thriller series called The Rose Medallion, and that was a nice series that ran for the BBC as well. So I've done a lot of good work. Plus I've done things like I was in the Beverly Hillbillies, for instance. I did a couple of episodes of the Beverly Hillbillies, which you probably have seen over here. I've done the Benny Hill shows. I've done Morecambe and Wise shows. Lots of the major English comedy shows.
We do get a lot of English shows on our local PBS affiliates, and we can get some stuff on Arts and Entertainment. Could you tell us a bit about the charity that you are involved with currently?
Yeah, well, I've done a lot of charity work ever since I became well known. It started off with Eunice Kennedy asking me if I'd get associated with the Special Olympics, and then after that I became associated with the National Organization of Disability in Washington. Then I came over and I emceed the annual General Conference of the President's Committee on Employment of the Handicapped. Then I did several tours of America on behalf of the NOD, where I was going around giving road safety talks to kids and drumming up publicity for the work of the National Organization of Disability. Back home, I'm a member of the STARS Organization for Spastics. I'm a member of the Variety Club of Great Britain, and I just recently I've been having trouble with arthritis myself, and I started studying the problems of arthritis and discovered that it was a very non-emotive disease. Nobody ever dies of it, but millions upon millions upon millions of people suffer from it. And so as I said, I started studying what was being done in the way of research and everything else, and it's discovered that they were trying to collect money to establish a brand new arthritis research centre in the north of England. And so I decided to put my energies towards trying to raise funds for that. And this is what I'm doing now. I'm doing all sorts of things. Sometimes I do conventions like this where I sell, all my photographs on behalf of the charity. People write to me, from different fan clubs and things like this, and write to me for photographs which we sell on behalf of the charity. I do sales in Great Britain, sci-fi sales in Great Britain, and we sell lots of items. in connection with the charity. We're on our way to trying to raise, well, it's about I'm trying to raise about $4 million, for the establishment of this new centre.
Is there an address that someone can write to for donations?
Oh yeah, most definitely. The charity, as I said, my charity is part of a charity which is organised by the Institute of Orthopaedics at Oswestry. But anybody that wants to send a donation can send it to Dave Prowse's Force Against Arthritis. And the address is 12, that's 12 Marshalsea Road, that's Marshalsea, Marshalsea Road, London South East 1, that's SE1, 1HL, and that's England. And they can, send donations or anything that they can offer in the way of help. I'd be only too pleased to try and help them. If for instance, somebody wants to run or wants sponsorship forms when they want to run marathons, or do anything where they can get sponsorship for themselves. I'll be only too pleased to try and help in any way I possibly can to help them raise money, for the charity.
That's wonderful. Sir, in the original Star Wars film, you were cast to do both parts, the voice parts and.
Well, yes.
Okay, and could you tell us how that evolved from your being the full character to it just being as a physical presence, sir?
Well, what happened was I was cast as Darth Vader. I got offered Chewbacca first of all. I turned that one down. Yeah, and I accepted the part of Darth Vader, and then and when we completed the filming, which was all done up at Elstree in London, because the films were English films, were made in England, and we completed all the filming, and I did all the voice all the way through. I had to learn all the dialogue so that all the other actors could react to me and things like this. And I kept on saying to George, what are we going to do about the voice? Because obviously everything that I'm delivering is coming through the mask, and it's not really good enough, not audibly. And he said, well, don't worry, we'll go into the studios and re-record all your lines. So I assumed that I was going to do the voice of Darth Vader. And what happened was when they couldn't get all the special effects that they wanted, they went back to America in a mad panic, to try and get the film completed in the US. And while they were in America, they suddenly realized that there was no black input in the film. And both 20th Century Fox and Lucasfilm got cold feet. And they suddenly started thinking that the black people in America would boycott the movie because there was no black interest in the movie. There's not one black person at all if you think back on Star Wars. And so the only thing they could do at that late stage was to take my voice off and put an obvious black voice on. And they got James Earl Jones, who is obviously probably one of the most famous black actors in the world, to do the voice of Darth Vader. Then, of course, on the second and third movies, they brought Billy D. Williams in to be your token black, to appease the black faction in America. That's why one of the reasons why Billy D. Williams came into the movie. So it was nothing to do with my voice not being right. It was just a question, as I said, there was this problem with the black faction in America, which they thought was going to cause all the problems.
So unjustly, you were edited out, literally. Over the years, little has been done to alter the Darth Vader mask. What about, the suit in general, but you said there were some specific things that were done with the mask to subdue what people saw of your actual face.
Well, all the way through all three movies, or at least especially on the second and third movies, they kept saying that they could see inside the eyepieces. And so they started darkening the lenses in the eye sockets. And I eventually finished up with really very, very dark lenses, and it became very difficult to see where you were going. So I used to view from the nose portion and the mouth portion of the mask, because it was like a gauze, like a metal gauze, And what happened then? They said, we can see your lips moving behind the gauze, and so they put black felt over the gauze. So consequently, not only did I nearly lost all the vision from the eyepieces. I then lost all the vision from the two places where I used to look through to see all my marks on the floor. And so it became almost like you were acting blind. It was quite difficult.
It's almost like
that was one major problem. And then of course they adjusted the fixing of the helmet as well from the first to the second movies, and made it fit much better, much easier to fit on. And but that was all. There weren't any other alterations to the costume or anything like that.
20th Century Fox had promotions where they had sent out people in Darth Vader costumes. Were you involved with any of that?
Not one. I did well, I say not one. I did when Star Wars came out. I probably did about 4 appearances as Darth Vader, and I only did them when people specifically asked for myself, as the actor who portrayed Darth Vader in the film, to do the personal appearance. And I it, it I think both Lucasfilm and 20th Century Fox obviously came to the conclusion very quickly that it was much cheaper to dress up any Tom, Dick, or Harry who was just any big guy as Darth Vader, because once you were inside the suit, nobody knew who you were. I mean, it didn't make any difference whether you were Dave Prowse or whether you were Fred Bloggs up the road, and obviously, the thing is, if they wanted me to do it, I would obviously charge them a fee for doing it. Whereas, they could probably turn around to any big guy and say, well, look, do you want to do a Darth Vader appearance? Well, we'll pay you 20 quid or 50 quid or whatever, or $50 or whatever the case may be. And at that time, people would probably jump at that sort of money, and so they got it was really a means of getting the Darth Vader appearances done very, very cheaply. And I said I only ever did about 4 person appearances as Darth Vader, and in fact, I had a couple of embarrassing situations, with other people doing Darth Vader appearances. I was in the major departmental store in the world, which is Harrods in London, and I went there when I think it was Return of the Jedi. It was just about to break, and I just happened to be in the store, and I went up to the toy department, and the place was absolutely jam-packed with people. And as soon as I walked into the store, everybody sort of surrounds me because they all knew I'm very well known. I'm visibly known in the UK. And they all came out and crowded around me and all wanted my autograph, and I'm there signing autographs for everybody and giving away all my autograph cards. And I said, what are you all here for? And they said, you've seen there's an exhibition today of all the Star Wars figures from Return of the Jedi. You see? So I said, oh, that's interesting. I didn't know anything about this. You see? And then next thing I know, somebody comes up and taps me on the shoulder and says, excuse me, would you mind coming to the buyer's office? You see? So I went over to the buyer's office, and the buyer turned around to me and he said, excuse me, Mr. Price. He said, would you mind leaving the store? You're an embarrassment to the department. And I said, well, what do you mean? He said, well, we are about to parade our own Darth Vader. And he said, how can we parade our own Darth Vader when everybody in the store knows that you're the real one? You see? And you're stood in the audience watching. And I had to leave. I was very politely sort of ushered out of the store, so that they could run their own Darth Vader. I had a few things like that, which I didn't appreciate.
Mr. Prowse, could you tell us something about Dave Prowse's gyms?
Right. Well, I came into the show business because I had a sort of long career as a weightlifter and a bodybuilder. I was a bodybuilder for about it was 10 years. I trained for 10 years before I got invited to enter the Mr. Universe contest, and which meant I was one of the sort of top 20 physiques in Great Britain. And I did the Mr. Universe contest. Then I changed over after that and decided to go into competitive weightlifting. And I had about 18 months training, and then became the British heavyweight weightlifting champion. And I was British champion in 1962, 63, 64. I did the Empire and Commonwealth Games, and then I didn't get selected to go to Tokyo for the Olympic Games. And so I decided I would turn professional. So I formed an act, and I used to call myself Britain's Strongest Man. And I used to tour around giving exhibitions of strength, tearing telephone directors and bending iron bars and lifting heavy weights and all these sort of things. And then I came into show business, and also at the same time, I went into Scottish Highland Games. I started doing the professional Highland Games circuit, and I became sort of third best in the world at the Scottish Highland Games. And I did that for 3 years, touring around the world, giving exhibitions at British Export Weeks. And then I decided I'd had enough of all that, and I decided I would open up my own health studio. And so I set up a gymnasium in London, near London Bridge, and I've been there ever since. I've been there 25 years. I've had this really nice health studio in London, and I train all sorts of famous people, and I've had lots of famous people training with me. I've met everybody from, it was me that trained Christopher Reeve for Superman. I was trainer to the Crown Prince of Saudi Arabia. I've trained people like Albert Finney, Vanessa Redgrave, Stephanie Powers, and lots of famous people. And it's been a great sort of career. It's been a great situation where I've been able to run 2 careers at the same time. One, as I said, in the film and television business, and another one running a health studio where anybody can come in and sort of train with me and work out in my gymnasium. It's been really good.
It was wonderful meeting you, sir, and see you in the States. Bye-bye.